It's called MMA Minute YouTube channel. Nice, my brother. Good luck on your show. I will watch MMA Minute.
MMA Minute Episode 8. We have a lot to go over. The UFC has had a lot of fight news come out lately. There's a lot of big fights this weekend, and we can go over the fights from last weekend, Bobby Green versus Grant Dawson. So right away, we're going to start off with the Grant Dawson-Bobby Green card. So we didn't have much service in the building last time, but but I did get both picks on the parlay right. We started out with Joaquin Buckley versus Alex Morono. I don't think Buckley got the finish. Yeah, no, he won by decision, but it was a pretty close fight, I guess. Morono's a tough dude. He just gasses out, doesn't really have it in the tank. And I figured Buckley is kind of on the come up right now in his career. I like the move to welterweight. It's a good move for him. I like the way he's looking. That was definitely probably his best fight so far. And moving up on the card, I forgot there was Joe Pyfer who fought. He had a really good performance against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. But the thing about Joe Pyfer is I feel like he doesn't have – his stand-up's good. The middleweight division, though, I feel like is a lot better in stand-up than what he has to offer. The thing about Joe Pyfer is he looks really big for a middleweight. I thought he looked much bigger than Abdul Hassan. You saw that leg kicks kind of affect him pretty early, and then he kind of changed his game plan, went more grappling-wise, takedown heavy. The leg kicks definitely bothered him. But once you see he took like one or two leg kicks, and then he just shot that takedown, got Abdul down and got the submission. So that was a pretty cool performance by him. Exciting to see what Joe Pyfer is going to be like in the future. He's definitely going to be a prospect coming up in the division. So we'll see who they match him up with. And if I known that was going to be in the parlay, if I known that was going to be on the card, then I probably would have put him in the parlay because that was, I don't know, I feel like he was probably a lock in that one. Just a good matchup, it seemed. And then going on to the main event, Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. Not many people got that fight prediction right besides me. I'll say that. I didn't say I knew it because I was kind of skeptical, but I figured Bobby Green had the chance of getting him out of there early on in the first round. It's exactly what he did. He dropped him with the jab quickly. Grant Dawson, that's his first UFC loss, surprisingly. And it came, 33 seconds into the first round. So, yeah, Bobby Green was a plus 380 favorite, or plus 380 underdog, which is crazy, man. I don't think he's quite ranked yet, but yeah, he was definitely did himself good with that performance. He didn't really call a shot, but he said he'd like to fight in December, so they'd probably match him up with maybe a Gamrot. That could be a good fight. I heard Gamrot actually flew out and was apparently freaking out on Dana White because he wasn't the fill-in for the Islam fight, and apparently he was threatening violence against the UFC, which is just insane. Probably one of the fighters on the roster that has the least fans, Mateusz Gamrot. Nobody is really tuning in to watch a Mateusz Gamrot fight. Granted, he did beat Fiziev last week or a couple weeks ago, but Fiziev did get injured. But now Bobby Green, actually I forgot. So after Bobby Green won that fight, Renato Moicano, huge friend of the show, listener, thank you, Renato, if you're listening. Thank you for tuning in. He called out Bobby Green immediately after that fight. He's another member of the American top team. I think that's who they train with. So, he really wants to he seemed really avid to fight Bobby Green. So hopefully that's the fight that will get made next. Bobby Green went from not ranked to 13th, and now him 13 versus 12, him versus Moicano. That looks good. So not the Gamrot fight. Probably versus Moicano. I forgot about that matchup. But that's definitely one I'd like to see. Also, just like to shout out Money Moicano. Thank you for tuning into the show. Probably a new favorite fighter. So we're always riding Moicano from here on out. So other than the UFC Fight Night that just happened last weekend, man, this weekend's 294 card took a huge hit, and it also Fuck. Fuck. All right. All right, so looking forward to UFC 294 in about 2 weeks. This card took some major hits a few nights ago. And so everybody by this point, we probably all know what happens. Charles Oliveira pulled out with a cut over his, I think it was one of his eyes, pulls out with a cut. And then they refill him with Alexander Volkanovski. So the rematch of that will be happening in Abu Dhabi this time. Now Islam gets to fight on his home turf, which is pretty cool. And then Paulo Costa apparently had surgery on his elbow 3 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. And so the UFC obviously doesn't clear him. I don't know what he was thinking, man. Paulo Costa probably has one of the weirdest careers that the UFC has seen. The past, since when did he fight Israel Adesanya? Like 2019? Or no, 2021. So when they fought, since then, I think he's missed weight, pulled out of 3 fights, promoted like 2 or 3 fights, but he fought Rockhold and he fought Vettori. So it's been really strange. He's pulled out of a lot of fights, and he's promoted a lot of fights. I think he was scheduled to go with Rob Whittaker. He was scheduled to fight Ikram Aliskerov at one point. So Paulo is interesting because, I don't know, obviously he wants to fight, but it just is weird the timing he chose to come out with this surgery details. It's like, what if you're fighting in 3 weeks, why come out and tell everybody what just happened? Obviously, you need to tell the UFC, but why? I mean, if you really need the surgery, you shouldn't have led this fight on for so long because, I mean, now it's kind of weird. He's in a weird position now. Who's he going to fight next? He's ranked 6th. I don't know. It's just strange. That division is definitely shaken up right now with Israel not being the champion anymore. And he just said the other day, Izzy said he's not going to be fighting for a while for the foreseeable future. So it doesn't seem like Paulo's going to be fighting for a long time either. Maybe they'll rematch sometime in the future. That'd be a cool fight to see. But the silver lining to all of this is obviously the fill-in being Kamaru Usman is probably one of the best fights that could have been made for Khamzat. I think that Kamaru Usman, Izzy, those are probably 2 of the top fights, like 2 former champions who he has had some sort of beef with in the past. So the fact that Kamaru is taking this fight is crazy. It says something to his mentality. He's moving up to 185, and Dana said the winner of this is going to be fighting Strickland. So if he wins and then he goes up and becomes a 2-weight division champion, and then that'd be pretty impressive. And I know Adesanya would probably be proud of him, and I don't think he would mind that at all. I think he would definitely prefer if he took some time off and then comes back. And if he sees that Usman's the champion in that division, I wouldn't be surprised if Izzy moved up to light heavyweight, especially if Pereira was the light heavyweight champ at that time. So that's a bit down the line in the future, but that is some crazy fights that could have been happening, or that could happen. But that card, the UFC 294 card, is absolutely stacked top to bottom. It is crazy, the fights on that. We start out with Ikram Aliskerov. I'm pretty sure is the first fight. I think he makes his... Oh, no, not Ikram. Shara Magomedov, what's his nickname? It might be the Pirate. The guy, he's got 2 different colored eyes. He's the newest Russian coming out of Dagestan. Everybody's expecting him to be champion. He's fighting Bruno Silva. That's a really tough opponent for your first fight. I'm pretty sure he fought Alex Pereira in the UFC in his first or second fight. I'm not sure. But yeah, Nathaniel Woods on that card. We got a Zaitar Cedric Dumas is on that card. It's going to be really cool. Trevor Peek, Makayev versus Tim Elliott. Warley Alves versus Ikram Aliskerov. That's a good one. Ankalaev Walker. And then Khamzat, Usman, Volk, and Islam. So we'll make the predictions on that next week. But the news around that has just been absolutely insane. The UFC also announced that them and USADA are no longer working together. And so Hunter Campbell came out and held the press conference, which is insane because Hunter Campbell, that's a name that you hear all the time. Dana brings up Hunter Campbell constantly. And I don't think anybody before this knew what Hunter Campbell looked like. That guy never shows his face. He said he had a press conference, like I said, in it he said how he doesn't like doing media. He leaves it to Dana. So if you have Hunter Campbell coming out and doing a press conference with Jeff Nowitzki, that is insane because that's some serious accusations. If you saw what USADA said about Conor McGregor, they basically said what the UFC is doing is they're bending the rules for Conor McGregor to allow him to take performance enhancers to recover from his leg injury. And that it's honestly exactly what it sounds like the UFC is doing. I'm one of the main advocates for the UFC, but it's not a good look for them. If what they did with Brock Lesnar to Mark Hunt, it's pretty similar with that. If they're going to let Conor take performance enhancers to get back into fight shape, what's that any different? How is that any different from him taking performance enhancers while in fight camp? You know? And they did the same thing with Brock Lesnar at UFC 200 when they needed him to fill in for the main event. They exempted him from having to test, which is unheard of. And he ends up beating Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt sued the UFC. He just lost that the other day, which is crazy, but it's the same boat as Conor, you know? And Hunter said it in his interview. He said Conor's leg, the doctor said he may never walk again, or not walk. He will never be, that leg will never be the same. So he's talking it up like this is some crazy life-changing injury that Conor needed to take take the performance enhancers that he allegedly took to recover from this injury to even get back in the UFC, when we know that's not true because you look at Anderson Silva, who had a very similar leg break, came back, didn't have the best career, but he still had some victories, and he had a few decent fights. Didn't look the same, but he came back and still performed. You can't really say the same about Chris Weidman, but Conor McGregor is only the third fighter that I can think of that had a really bad leg break like that and is going to be coming back. And obviously, if you're Conor McGregor, you're going to have the best treatments. But that doesn't mean that he should be taking performance enhancers. And what USADA said in their statement was what the UFC did is basically tell him to fuck off in a way and say they said Conor is going to fight regardless of what you said. If Conor's clean for 6 months, we're going to put him in and he's going to fight. And USADA said that's like compromising their integrity in a way, and they're just cutting the deal with the UFC, and they're no longer going to be partners and no longer going to be the UFC's drug testers at the end of this year. I saw something on Twitter that said, I think they had like however many tests they administered. Let's just say 30,000. They only caught like 4 people, which that's crazy. Maybe it's only 4 big-time fighters is what they meant by that, but I don't think the UFC is really bothered by the USADA leaving them because Hunter said in the press conference that they're about 30% of USADA's like income. So that's going to be a big hit for USADA and what he also said is they're just trying to, I guess, throw dirt on Conor McGregor's name as a part of just, they were so upset that the UFC didn't want to do business with them anymore. So they were just going to make the UFC look as bad as possible. But I don't know how true that is. You know, the UFC is not always in the right, and especially when it comes to performance enhancing drugs with these fighters, especially with their stars, they're very lenient, it seems. So I don't know. It's not a great look for them, but it's convenient that all this stuff is coming out at the same time. You know, maybe they're going to try to swipe it under the rug, and everybody's going to forget about it after the 294 card. So we'll see, but UFC already has a new drug test in line. Let me pull that up. Yeah, so the UFC already has in place their replacement for USADA at the end of the year, and this is very interesting to me. They hired George Pyro, I'm not exactly sure, but all the news headlines are saying that he was the leader of the Saddam Hussein interrogation team. But that is not what I found interesting. What I found interesting was he trains at American Top Team. He's a part of the American Top Team. So I got a feeling if he's going to be running tests for the UFC, let's bet on a lot of American Top Team fighters to do well these upcoming years, if you know what I mean. That's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit weird that they would choose a guy who trains with a team to do the testing because obviously that's going to raise flags. I don't think many people know that right now, but I feel like once that comes out, or it could look bad for the UFC if American Top Team guys start performing real well, and then some questions might start being raised. But until then, we'll see. They have replaced USADA, but until the end of the year, their testing will still be in place. Connor's fight still hasn't been announced. It was supposed to be December, but I don't know. They haven't said anything about it yet, so we don't really know. Don't know what to think. This weekend we have the UFC Fight Night. Sadiq Youssef versus Edson Barbosa. There's some good fighters on the card, but it's kind of just holding us over until we get to the to next week's big card. So Drew Dober finished Ricky Glenn in the first round. Kind of surprising, not gonna lie. If you know Dober's history, he usually doesn't. That's not the style opponent Drew does well against. He was in black shorts, but Drew took him out in the first round. His wife and his daughter were in the crowd, so maybe Dad Dober is a new mythical fighter to look out for. Most knockouts in UFC lightweight history. That's pretty damn cool. That is pretty cool. I think I would like to see Dober. Where's he at in the rankings? Is he even in the rankings? No, I don't think so. Yeah, Dober's not even in the rankings. So, like to see him get in the rankings. Maybe he'll fight Grant Dawson next. Because Frivola's ranked 14, and Frivola finished him. So, that'll be interesting to see who Dober fights next. But most knockouts in UFC lightweight history is crazy. That can't be overlooked. Super impressive stat by him. But going along this card, after Terrence McKinney, downtown TJ Brown fighting Darren Elkins. Damage, that'll be a cool fight. Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Simon. Okay. And then Michel Pereira. Yeah, Adrian Yanez. So decent card. It's in the Apex. And then we have a coin flip special. I don't know. Barbosa looked good when he moved down to featherweight, right? Didn't he? Let me think about his last fight. Barbosa. Yeah, he's ranked 13th, so Barbosa he beat Billy Quarantillo in his last fight. So yeah, I think that Barbosa maybe could have a resurgence in his career at featherweight. I don't know. Sadiq Youssef is a tough guy, but I don't know. It's kind of another week where I don't really want to put together a parlay that bad. But I guess we got it, right? We got to make some money. I don't know. Something is just telling me that Barbosa's not going to win this one. So he's a slight favorite, or he's a slight underdog. 140, 166. Sadiq Youssef's the favorite. So I guess we'll go Sadiq Youssef. And then Jennifer Maia's fighting, but that's a coin flip too. Yanez is fighting Jonathan Martinez. So yeah, 13 versus 14 bantamweight fight right there. Pick 'em. And then Michel Pereira. I don't think I've ever seen Michel Pereira lose a fight, so we got to go with him. He's the favorite, minus 125. We'll throw Michel Pereira, Cameron Simon versus Christian Rodriguez. That's interesting. 9-1 Christian Rodriguez. He's the one who beat Raul Rosas Jr., so I don't know, man. Maybe we'll go Cameron Simon on this one just because he's the underdog, so we'll stick to that for the parlay. So we'll take Cameron Simon at plus 136 odds, Michel Pereira minus 125, and then Sadiq Youssef at minus 166 for the parlay this weekend. What else? We got the Dylan Dennis fight this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. If it ends up happening, he could be fighting Mike Perry. I saw they did a quick little face-off. That was hilarious. But yeah, there's a lot of rumors going around about what's going to happen in that fight. I think it's probably 85% chance it doesn't happen. One of them is not going to fight. One of them is going to pull out. I don't know. It's been a really weird few hours. I think Tommy Fury's weighing in right now. I'm going to pull up the weigh-in live stream. So yeah, who knows what that shit show is going to look like tomorrow night, the KSI Tommy Fury card. I got the weigh-ins pulled up right now. I don't know how you guys felt about that incident that happened yesterday. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious seeing Logan get drilled with a microphone. I hope Dylan Dennis has some tricks up his sleeve, but let's be real, he's a jiu-jitsu guy who hasn't been in a legitimate contest since 2018. Not that Logan Paul has any sort of skill because that guy blows too, but these guys rig their fights in their order. in order for them to win. So if Dylan doesn't get the finish or Logan doesn't quit, I have a hard time seeing them give Dylan the decision. But you never know. It's boxing. These guys all suck. None of them are professionals. I hope Tommy Fury beats the piss out of KSI. You never know what's going to happen there, though, because it seems like Tommy Fury's pretty emotional. He got dropped by Jake Paul. Yeah. So it's going to be a sloppy weekend of fights. Like I said, who knows if Logan's even going to show up. I got the weigh-in pulled up right now. I'm watching it. I don't know. It's got Dylan Dennis on stage. All right, so we got this shit bum Logan Paul. He's walking up to the stage right now with a ski mask on. I can't believe I'm even watching this, man, but just shows you kind of how slow of a weekend it is for UFC. But yeah, this guy's an absolute dumbass. I think Logan Paul is an absolute joke. The guy's basically a criminal. I don't know how he's got all his money and all his fans, but Dylan Dennis isn't a great guy either. But I guess this is what we're going to watch, right? This is what we're doing now. I'm really just watching this to see the face-off, honestly. I'll cut it up for the real video. I'm not going to have you guys sit through this, what I have to sit through. But, yeah, this is a joke. Oh, they're going to do their face-off in the cage, it looks like. That little cage they got in yesterday where Tommy Fury's dad, John, gets in there and like started punching the glass, man. Honestly, John Fury, you throw John Fury in his prime in there with any four of these guys, four in one night, dude. He'll take them all. John Fury will fight all four of these guys in the same night. I swear to God, dude. He'll probably do it right now, but in his prime, dude, that's a quick night's work for a guy like John Fury, dude. Gypsies don't play games. Oh, boy. If you think I'm lying, just look up Gypsy Joe Joyce. Not to be messed with. What a waste of time. Yeah, this is absolutely pointless. I don't know why I'm watching this. I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen? Comment what you think will happen. I wouldn't be surprised. Dylan's asking for a real face-off. I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan pulled some slick shit, put him in a chokehold or something. I don't know, dude. They're both corny as fuck, to be honest with you. That rat Ariel's there. Dylan said he's got cocaine behind his eyes. Oh, my God. Ariel, bro. Coming for that guy's job. Ariel just gets cut off, bro, mid-interview. God, he looks like such a dweeb. Logan Paul just pulls out Gordon Ryan. He's like, if you try anything, this guy's gonna fuck you up. Like, dude, that is embarrassing. Imagine pulling out another guy at a press conference and saying, if you try anything to me, this guy's fucking you up, man. I'm gonna watch. But yeah. Sorry I wasted your guys' time with that. I'll probably cut most of it from the video. But yeah, we got the parlay down. Looking forward to next week's card. Going to be one of the biggest in UFC history, honestly. Make predictions there. We'll go over the parlay. And yeah, that's it for this episode.